What's up guys, it's Crash, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about Battlebit Remastered. Yes, I actually finally played it. I've had a lot of people in the comments tell me that I need to try it out. I've seen a lot of creators that I follow on Twitter that have said it's a lot of fun, and they were right. I did have a really good time. So I want to talk about the game just a little bit and kind of my experiences with it, and then hear from the comments down below if you have any experience with it or excited to or want to give it a try. So this game is really interesting. As you guys can tell, it almost looks like Minecraft, right? It looks like on the surface Battlefield mixed with Minecraft. And why that is really interesting, going for the low poly route is such an interesting paradigm or way of looking at a game, or kind of a design philosophy of a game. In an era where the AAA studios are going for the next most realistic thing, you have Halo coming out with a new engine to look the best it could, Call of Duty allegedly on a new engine, Battlefield always trying to push the boundaries of graphic fidelity with the Frostbite engine. This is a completely different way to look at it, and I really enjoy talking about games that are doing something different. And what this allows them to do, besides it running great, when we hopped in to play it, it ran really good on my system while I was streaming from the same machine. My friends with a wide variety of different different hardware on their PC ran great. I feel like you could probably play this thing on a smart fridge. It ran perfect, and it made it feel really good. The netcode was really good, and in spite of the graphics that on the surface was, I'm gonna be honest, was a little off-putting to me. I generally like to go for the immersion thing, and I like games that look realistic. It had its own charm. It had its own kind of immersion. Like, I don't know, sometimes when you watch like adult cartoons like Bob's Burgers or something, I really like Bob's Burgers. Like when you watch it, you kind of, even though it's a cartoon, you kind of really feel that world, you feel that universe. And this kind of was that same way. I was kind of surprised at how kind of immersive it was. Like, even though everything was low poly, the skyboxes were still pretty realistic looking, and it just kind of had its own kind of way to immerse you in the game. And like I said, it played really, really smooth. Even though that was the case, the gun models look good, and the reticles were super, super, super clean, and the servers were full. That was one of the things that I thought was really crazy. So right now it's going through playtest. It's going under playtest phase right now, where they're collecting data as they open up the servers. And looking at Steam charts, it looks like over 16,000 players hopped on the other night when I was able to play. And I think that's just pretty crazy. Going through the server browser, it was really full. Yeah, it does have a server browser. Isn't that neat? And a class system. Wow, who would have thought that makes fun gameplay? But I think it's a sign of a very healthy player base already before the game even releases, that you can tweet out and publish a schedule, and almost 17,000 people show up in an evening to play. That is pretty outrageous. That's pretty crazy. There are a lot of people behind this game. If you are interested in supporting it, you can check out their Patreon. They do have one of those where they have a lot of patron supporters too. There's getting a lot of steam behind this game, no pun intended. So like I said, this low poly way of doing things opens up a lot of doors. It lets them focus on things like movement. It lets them focus on things like gunplay. And also, I feel like, coming from an idiot on the internet, that's me. I'm the idiot that doesn't know anything. I feel like making maps this way, in kind of almost a Minecraft look, is going to allow a lot of content for the future. I bet they can make maps incredibly quickly. I would not be surprised if user-generated content and modding would come down the line to where users can make maps. And I feel like this game could really also solve the live service debacle that many AAA studios are going through right now with the lack of content. If they can build these maps really fast, and even users themselves can come up with content, this game should have a ton of maps, a ton of places to play, and I could see some really fun stuff. People even rebuilding old maps. If there is something like Halo Forge where people can build maps one day, I think that would be really cool for this game. But there is going to be no shortage of content for this game, in my opinion. You can see from their Twitter that they are already working on a helicopter. I want to play that footage behind me. So they're already adding pretty interesting things to the game. So I want to talk about my experience with it just a little bit, and some of the trials and tribulations I went through, and some of the things that surprised me. First off, like I said, the gunplay and the smoothness and even the immersion kind of surprised me just a little bit. But some of the things I had problems with, the thing that you wouldn't think of that really did get to me, is there aren't really very many shadows, like inside of buildings and even outside on different things like trees and grass and stuff like that. And I didn't realize this, but I actually kind of use shadows to orient myself on the map, and it's kind of a subconscious thing. I got lost quite a bit. There wasn't a mini map on the screen. You can toggle and check the overall map quite a bit, and I had to do that a lot. I got really lost quite a bit. I think some of the UI stuff could use just a little bit of work. I'm sure they're working on it. It would be nice to visually see your squad just a little bit easier. Their dots over their heads are a little bit different color, but it would be nice to see kind of how far away they are and maybe make those just a little bit bigger. I had a hard time tracking down my squad from time to time. I had a couple stilly spawns, so of course that's something that everyone struggles with. All multiplayer games have that issue, but like the shadow thing really got to me, and I didn't realize this. And then I kind of thought back to when they came out with the new Resurgence map, when they redid that in the Rebirth Island, they moved the sun to the opposite end of the map and the shadows were on the other side of things, and it really messed me up. So I didn't even realize that subconsciously I kind of use shadows to orient myself, and there aren't very many shadows in the game. So I got lost and turned around quite a bit, but I feel like it's a game, especially with the server browser, which means no skill-based matchmaking, that if you practice, if you learn the maps, if you get used to the mechanics, that you can have some really good games and start to perform really well. And that's kind of an exciting prospect, to actually learn a game, get better, and feel like you're getting better. The other thing that really caught me off guard was the healing mechanics and the really short time to kill. That was very much like Squad. The resupply mechanics are very much like Squad, where you spend points to resupply in certain things. And I wasn't really ready for that. Personally, I would prefer a little bit more arcade style, kind of like Battlefield. It was a little bit more hardcore than I thought, with the fast time to kill, really slow to regen health. You have to get healed from a medic, and the revive mechanics were a lot like Squad. But the VoIP and everything worked really well. They have that going on even before launch Battlefield, and that was overall quite a bit of fun. But just don't be fooled by the appearance of the game. It actually has some pretty hardcore and tactical elements into it, namely the squad type mechanics for healing. But overall, I think this is an incredibly interesting game. I love games that do something else. They're also doing it right with the playtest and getting data and trying to make this the best possible launch when they do go to 1.0. It sounds like the price is going to be somewhere around $15 is what they're shooting for, are the rumors that I saw. That is not 100% set in stone. I would hope to see this come to console. I think it would do really, really well on console. I'm sure it's like a lot of these indie games. I feel like it's easier to develop and work through Steam to put out iterations of a game. And then once they get that nailed down, if they are able to be successful and make enough revenue from that, then they probably have the resources to push to console. That's probably their hope. I'm just guessing and spitballing here, but I feel like that's kind of how that would work. I think it would do incredibly well on console, and it's just such an interesting game, guys. I wanted to talk to you about it, and please hear from you down below what you thought of the game. If you enjoy the unscripted FPS game discussion, I also made one talking about the state of Warzone and what they need to do to turn that around, so consider checking out that video. And also, if you enjoy this type of content, potentially subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you later.